Welcome to the PhoneArena video review of the Samsung Intercept. The Intercept replaces the Moment in Sprint's Android lineup. It's a very similar form factor, with the large display on the outside and slide-out QWERTY keyboard. However, the Intercept is a very different phone from its predecessor. For starters, the screen is only 3 inches as opposed to 3.2, and instead of the AM OLED display seen on the Moment, we now find a TFT display on the Intercept. Thankfully, it remains the 16 million colors, so it's relatively bright and vibrant. However, it is also dropped in resolution, all the way down to 240 by 400, something that's very noticeable. If we look around the phone, we'll find a volume rocker and a micro SD slot over here. It's nice to see the micro SD slot exposed, as opposed to the Moment, where you had to remove the battery to access the card. On the right-hand side is a large, uncovered 3.5mm headset jack and a camera key. Obviously, we're looking at a pink version of the phone. There are 2 options available, this pink as well as a gunmetal gray. On the front, we have 4 capacitive keys: menu, home, back, and search. And then we have a physical send and end key and a 5-way D-pad with an optical joystick in the middle. You can see the back of the pink phone is stylized. It's subtly done, and we like it. It's not too girlish, and we think it will really appeal to the female segment, as long as they don't mind pink. The gunmetal version is straight gunmetal. It does have a soft touch coating on the back, which is a little bit better feel, but there's no patterns. Back here we find the 3-megapixel camera, as well as the phone's single speaker. As you can see, there's no longer flash associated with the camera, and it did suffer in low light situations because of this. However, all in all, the camera performed very well, and we were quite pleased. Lastly, we find the micro USB charging and data port perched at the top of the phone. The battery door is removed with your fingernail and by actually prying it. We've seen this design a lot recently from Samsung, and it works better here on the Intercept than it has on previous phones like the Restore, where that motion often caused the battery to pop out. The Intercept has a very good feel to it. It's a little bit hefty, but not too bad. The build quality, as we've always come to expect from Samsung, is top-notch. As you can hear, there's a very distinct sliding action with the phone. There's a lot of resistance needed to get it to go, but once it goes by itself. It's a very solid feel, and we think that we could slide this open 100,000 times without ever having an issue. If we move on to the keyboard, which is one of the big issues we had with the Moment, we find a reworked keypad. The keys don't offer much tactile feel to them. They're very flat. However, they're much larger and better spaced than they were on the Moment. There's a definite click to them, and we had no issues quickly typing out messages accurately. We really like this keypad. On the black or gunmetal version, the background is darker, which is something we prefer. However, usability in both of them is the same. In terms of menu performance, the Samsung Intercept did well once we started tweaking it. This is not that stock home screen. Instead, we're using ADW Launcher, which gives us a lot of nice options. For starters, we can have multiple home, or more than the 3 stock home pages. We've chosen 5, but we can also go as high as 7. You can see there's a nice 3D effect, and the Intercept handles that quite well. On the stock launcher, there is a little bit of a lag when opening it. It just has this typical app door that you're used to. For both usability purposes and functionality, we would suggest either downloading ADW, or there's another version called Launcher Pro that is quite nice as well. It comes down to personal preference. Launcher Pro is nice because it gives us some more icons down at the bottom here. However, we like the look of ADW better. Either way, it's going to be better than what you have. One of the customizations Samsung has made is to add some quick toggle switches to the notification drawer. As you can see, we have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, a silent and vibration mode. This just very quickly turns on and off these features. We've seen widgets for these before, notably on the HTC devices by default. However, we like having them there where they're not actually taking up screen real estate. For the most part, everything was decent on the Intercept. Again, the stock browser wasn't too great. One of the things that it really choked up with was the multi-touch. It does offer pinch and zoom capabilities, however, it doesn't work too well. Instead, we downloaded Dolphin browser. It's much smoother, the double tap is a lot more accurate, and all in all, it's just a better browser to work with. It's not quite as fast as it is on devices like the EVO or the Droid X with their 1 GHz processor, but the 800 MHz processor in the Intercept isn't a slouch and can keep up with it for the most part. Of course, your experience is going to vary differently because your Android device is different than any other Android device out there. You can customize it as you wish, you'll find programs that'll make the phone run better, and in the end, you'll make it your phone. It took a little getting used to, but we actually really like the Samsung Intercept by this point. Definitely out of the box it had its issues, there's some menu lag and some other things. But with some tweaking, finding new apps, and replacing some of the stock things, the Intercept has come into its own. The keypad is very usable, we like it a lot, and despite its flatness, we have no problems typing out messages quickly and accurately. The build quality is, as usual, top-notch for Samsung. We think the pink option will really draw a lot of buyers in, and the sub-$100 price point on contract, although it's only by a penny, will be a sticking point for very few. For someone looking at a smartphone, not looking to pony up the money for something like the EVO or the upcoming Epic, and requiring the extra $10 data add-on, the Intercept is a solid choice to look at.